Hey, what's up there? Welcome to my video about Grand Slam Tennis 2, a tennis game released by EA back in 2012. Grand Slam Tennis 2 is what I would call a simcade tennis game, blending easy to pick up arcade gameplay style while still pretending to be somewhat realistic tennis game. Throughout this year, I've noticed actually quite a few people mentioning this particular title in the comments of my videos, and they seemed to look fondly at Grand Slam 2. So I decided to see for myself whether it was just a nostalgia glasses blurring people's vision, or perhaps Grand Slam Tennis 2 was actually a good tennis game. But before we dive in, I want to know how you feel about Grand Slam Tennis 2. Did you play it back in the day? And do you remember it as a standout tennis title? Let me know in the comment section. Alright, let's jump into Grand Slam Tennis 2. The game starts off quite strong. We are greeted by a menu screen featuring John McEnroe, Maria Sharapova, and, to my surprise, Novak Djokovic. This was probably the last tennis game to officially feature Djokovic, until Tiebreak finally brought him back in 2024. After a quick look at the control scheme, I jumped into a singles exhibition match. Right away there was another pleasant surprise. The rest of the roster was pretty impressive too. We've got the big three, along with legends like Murray, Roddick, Sampras, Hewitt, Cash and Bjorn Borg. On the women's side we get Sharapova, Ivanovic, Davenport, the Williams sisters and Henin. It's a limited roster, sure, but it's packed with interesting players. Definitely more exciting than what Topspin 2K25 brought recently to the table. And then we get to court selection, and once again there are plenty of options. We have all the Grand Slam courts, each with a couple of smaller venues, and even some smaller competitions are available as well. So far things look promising, so let's see how the actual match plays out. Once the match loads, we are welcomed by two iconic commentators, Pat Cash and John McEnroe.
Great rivalries of modern sport. Rafa Nadal versus Roger Federer. Gonna be some action. Absolute thriller coming up.
After a few hours of play, I have to admit that the commentary is well done in this game. While it does get repetitive after a while, there's some entertaining banter between the commentators, and they also mix in real-life stories that often actually relate to what's happening on the court. I really wish modern tennis games included commentary. It adds to the feeling of being in a top-level tennis match, especially when it's done well, like here. Games like Tiebreak could definitely benefit from a more TV-like atmosphere that commentary adds to the game. Grand Slam Tennis 2 also features nice cutscenes, but admittedly they lose their charm rather quickly. I think that the graphics are on par with Topspin 4 and other sports games from that era. By today's standards, the visuals won't blow you away, but overall, the visual presentation has aged pretty well. I only wish current tennis sims like Tennis Elbow 4 or Full Ace could reach this level of graphical quality that Grand Slam Tennis 2 had back in 2012. The player models are well done, and while their faces aren't perfect, they are easily recognizable. The stadiums are also quite good, with decent detail and a dense crowd that brings the setting to life. As for animations, the running and shot-making movements feel quite similar to Topspin. Running is fluid and your player can even make some big leaps by the net to reach otherwise impossible balls. Overall, the visual presentation of Grand Slam Tennis 2 was a solid part of the game and still holds up well today, especially considering it's a 12-year-old game. However, that's not really surprising given it was released by EA. So now let's move on to the core of the game, the gameplay. So how does Grand Slam Tennis 2 play? Well, it starts off quite fun, but unfortunately the gameplay goes downhill real freaking fast. The more you play this game, the more you notice all the fundamental problems with its gameplay. In the first match, I was busy trying to figure out the controls and in-game mechanics. I've had fun getting the hang of the game, seeing what works and what doesn't. Most of the mechanics actually feel very familiar as they are super similar to Topspin 4. Take aiming for instance, it works just like in Topspin. You basically indicate the general direction of the ball, but you cannot aim wrong because the game lacks precision aiming. And so aiming is not part of skill gap or mastery in the Grand Slam Tennis 2. In fact, the concept of skill is almost non-existent in this game, which will become more obvious the farther we go in this video. Next, we have shot timing, which also works just like in Topspin. The problem, however, with timing mechanic here is that it just doesn't really freaking matter. I don't feel much of a difference between good timing or very bad one. You can have good timing and it doesn't translate into a winner. And the opposite is true too. Shooting the ball with bad timing does not result in outs or hitting the net. In fact, the biggest problem with the game is that nobody makes freaking errors in Grand Slam Tennis 2. Most of my matches actually finish with statistics like what you can see right now on the screen. Tons of winners, maybe 1-2 errors on either side, and hell of a lot of net play. I've literally had plenty of matches finishing with 0 errors on either side. And you know what? It's not only a problem with Grand Slam Tennis 2. Recent games like Topspin 2K25 and Tiebreak also have similar issue. And it makes me wonder, do game developers making tennis games even watch real tennis matches? Haven't they freaking noticed that a lot of points finish with actual error? It's just mind-boggling. And as usual, with the lack of risk in a tennis game comes the lack of reward. See, Grand Slam Tennis 2 has lackluster and boring baseline rallies. The angles you get on your shots are generally very weak, and the rallies can go on and on for freaking ages. Being ready for the shot, timing it perfectly, and holding the shot button 100% of power means kinda nothing in this game. The shot will be meh, whether you play it well or do everything wrong in the process. And as a result, the way to shorten the struggle of the rally is to basically just rush to the net. Net play is actually super strong in this game for both you and the computer opponent. In fact, computer rushes often to the net regardless of their playstyle. I mean, imagine that. I've had Nadal spamming volleys in Roland Garros. And once either player gets to the net, it's basically game over. Passing the computer player is nearly impossible because the angles of your shots are just so freaking bad. Your other option is to lob the opponent, but lobs hang in the air for way too long. And so, the matches in Grand Slam Tennis 2 boil down to basically who gets to the net first, and that player wins. And then we have the computer so-called logic. And man, the CPU programming here is so freaking bad that it makes me wonder if Big Ant Studios hired the same people responsible for Grand Slam Tennis 2 CPU difficulty. It's really that bad. The computer in Grand Slam 2 makes shots literally in left, right, left, and then right pattern with no variation whatsoever. And it does not change depending on where you stand. It's 99% of the time the same freaking pattern. And if all these issues were not enough to write off Grand Slam Tennis 2 gameplay, there is also a problem with different shot types in the game. By now, you might have noticed that there are different highlight colors on the ball during the rally in the footage, right? And perhaps you wonder, what the hell do they mean? Well, let me explain. Green color means slice, red means topspin, and no color indicates a flat shot. Could you tell just from watching the game? Because I think that probably the biggest difference between these shot types is just a freaking color of the highlight. See, players have basically the same shot animation regardless of shot type, and slice in particular does not look like a slice at all. It's just like a weaker flat shot that bounces slightly lower, and that's about it. So it's a pity with the gameplay, cause it has so many issues, so many basic problems, that they make Grand Slam 2 unfun tennis video game. It's either very easy when you rush to the net, or super frustrating when you want to play from the baseline. And either way, it's just a boring tennis game, even on the highest difficulty level. Alright, now let's shift our gears and take a quick peek at the career mode of Grand Slam Tennis 2. You can create your own player and build a career over 10 years. The career mode plays a lot like Topspin 4, with events available each week. You have exhibition matches that unlock gear, training to improve stats, and tournaments to join. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this type of career. It feels repetitive real fast. But I could deal with it if only the gameplay was good, which is not in this case. What bothers me the most in Grand Slam Tennis 2 career mode, besides the gameplay of course, is the lack of difficulty settings. Imagine that here you cannot choose what difficulty you want to play on. Your initial matches against low-ranked players are way too easy, so it seems like you're playing on some lower difficulty level. And then we have stats, which mean nothing here, except for speed and power. My 36 rated Danny Trejo can easily beat top players in the game, and that's a huge disappointment. And this kinda reminds me of Tiebreak, where I could do the same things with the lowest rated player and win against Djokovic, who was like the top player in the game. Actually, when I'm thinking about that, there are so many parallels between Grand Slam Tennis 2 and Tiebreak, which is quite interesting. Anyway, the game also includes a mode called Grand Slam Classics, where you can relive iconic moments of tennis legends. It's a cool concept, and you unlock all the classics by completing the current ones. And yeah, unfortunately, this feature is weighted down by, yet again, the lackluster gameplay, making it a nice detail in an otherwise very dull game. So, those are my thoughts on Grand Slam Tennis 2. The game had a lot of promise at the start, with solid presentation, impressive commentary, and an interesting roster. But, like most Simcade tennis games, Grand Slam Tennis 2 ultimately falls short in the most crucial area, the on-court gameplay. If EA ever decides to revive this series, I hope they will watch videos like this one and focus on significantly improving the gameplay mechanics. The potential was there, it just needed way better execution. How about your opinion on the game? What are your memories of Grand Slam Tennis 2? Did you enjoy it, or did it fall short for you as well? If you enjoyed this video, then I would highly appreciate it if you drop a like. And if you want to see more videos from me in the future, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. Anyway, that's all from me in this video. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.